Welcome to Firm Foundation Conversations. We do a series of programs talking to people making a difference in our community and in our world. And I'm so pleased to have with me today a young man who's making a great difference in way down in Atlanta, Georgia. And that would be Mr. Bradley Gray. How you doing, Brad?
I'm doing all right, man. Just trying to stay warm. I know it's not as bad as what you got up there, man, but it's cold, man. To us Georgians, it's cold.
I was gonna say, man, you can't talk about no cold weather in Atlanta, like 30s. Man, we think that'd be a heat wave to us. We're gonna be like 10 below tonight.
I know. It gets so hot here in the summer. Now, when I go back home in the fall and it's 50 degrees, I'm like, man, it's cold. It's a little cold up here in Indy now.
Right.
So that weather does make a difference.
It does. Well, I'll tell you, you've made your way to the ATL. Let me ask you, what brought you to the ATL?
I had an opportunity to further my career down here. Atlanta is one of the largest markets in general. I mean, it's just a large metropolitan area, but especially when it comes to our field in media, it's the top. It's one of the top 10 markets as far as television stations go, radio stations. It's also, as far as just our community. We call it ATL Wood. You know what I mean? Like as far as our film and entertainment industry, kind of booming, being the second Hollywood. We've got movies like, The Avengers and, all types of, big studios that come here and shoot within the metropolitan area, shut down streets for all that. So, like, just for what you have, I haven't even mentioned, CNN and Turner Sports and all these different things that are just based here, opportunities galore. I'm just happy to be here. I thank God every day that, I get to wake up and work in one of the largest media areas in the country, really in the world. I mean, like I said, it's a lot. It's so much to take in that you don't even really notice it until you get down here.
Let me just say that Brad is an Indianapolis native, born and raised here in the city. He's a spiritual son, and we've seen his whole life. I think I did baby dedication.
Probably, yeah. I mean, yeah. I've been there since day one. So,
yeah. Well, we are godly proud of you, and your mom is so proud of you as well. We're all thanking God for you, and you've done real well. Let's go back a bit and give some background about how you arrived to this career. So my question is, talk about your career in broadcast news and your current position and how you were influenced to go in that direction.
Okay. Well, currently I am what's called a multi-platform producer for the NBC affiliate here in Atlanta, which is WXIA. That position essentially is a combination. It's a hybrid of a lot of different things, whether it's writing scripts, web scripts, shooting things, editing things. I like to look at it as just a new position of, creativity and innovation. So, if there's an idea of something that may not be your traditional 5 o'clock news story, but it's something that you think might do really well on air. On the website, excuse me. I might go out and put a story together on our digital platforms, Twitter, Facebook, and of course on the website that I think might get a little bit more interaction than what would happen if we just did it on air. So, I get the opportunity to essentially, keep my ear close to the street to pay attention to spot news and breaking news. I also get a chance to write a lot for our web and our digital platform, an opportunity to go out and shoot and edit and produce my own pieces, that may not, again, like I say, be what you normally see on your, the 5 o'clock news. Because not everything in news is about crime, or it's about weather, or it's about, political, whatever. Sometimes it's just community stuff that you want to see. So, those are the things that I get an opportunity to work on.
That's outstanding. I agree with you. We need to, people are kind of weary of bad news anyway, and they want to hear some stories that are encouraging, real life stories, and truly what's happening in the community. There are good things happening in every community, and we just tend to focus on what's bad because that's garners more viewers. But I'm glad that you have an alternative way to capture these stories? So you're saying that you capture the story, develop the stories, and they're played online?
Yeah. Whether it's digital, and sometimes there are things that I might do that run in the one of the newscasts, maybe not as a top story, but it might be something that's an in-depth piece that the weekend crew may want or the morning show may want. One of the stories that comes to mind that was set up by my supervisor was a 11-year-old kid who has this penchant for political. He wants to be in politics when he grows up, and he and his dad's also an entrepreneur, came up with an idea for him to just go out and pick up and place the yard, those yard signs that you see every election. So this kid at 11 years old had the idea of, hey, who pays for that at the end of the day? Like, is that part of our city's resources that has to go out here and pay for it? Well, why don't I take on that contract? Why don't I go ahead and, for basically pennies on the dollar of what you're paying them? Yeah. Let me go out here and pick these signs up. And it was just so cool to talk to this kid, and then finding out, you go out to his house, 11 years old, he already purchased his first car. And not just like a regular car, like a 1964 Ford, goodness, I can't remember what it was, but it's a Ford something. And like, it's just, it blew my mind just to meet this type of a kid who wanted to do that. But those are the type of stories I enjoy telling. I think everybody enjoys telling them, but it's not always looked at as a priority in news. So that's why I'm very thankful. I'm thankful that there was a position put in place for myself and others to be able to tell those types of stories that are a little different from your run-of-the-mill daily news,
Yeah. What do you think prepared you to go and get a story like that? I mean, everybody can approach a kid and get that story. So what do you think has helped you prepare to get those kind of stories?
I mean, I can go. Well, let's start with what gave me the skills in media to do that. And, obviously a lot of that comes from you, Pastor. I think that, starting off in the multimedia camp there at our church, Multimedia in Focus, I had the opportunity to get my hands at a very young age on, graphic design tools and resources, learning how to edit on Final Cut, learning how to shoot, with and without a tripod. Working in media really helped me out at a young age, because I think I started at the camp at maybe 11, 12 years old. So, and then going from there, and even in high school, with under the tutelage of Dennis Goins and John Easter there with the radio and TV program at Ben Davis High School, kind of even furthering that, you gather all those skills and you learn at that point in time how to, even though that was 17 years ago, adjust to what today. I know, right? It now has adjusted to what the new news is, which is you by yourself doing all the different things. People are so used to seeing news crews, 3 people, a photographer, a reporter, maybe like someone who drives the truck around. Now you're the same person. You know what I mean? I can shoot an entire story off of my phone, but that innovation came from starting in the media camp. It came from, what I learned at Ben Davis. It came from what I learned even at Ball State. So that part, the media part, comes, like I said, starts with you. As far as being able to talk to that kid, I think that's from family. You know what I mean? I got 11-year-old cousins now that, I like to pick on and play around with and stuff like that. So, that just comes from being a personable person, I guess, and being social and able to talk to people. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think that we know that this field is art and science. And the science, of course, is the gear and how the gear works, what the gear does. But the art of it, that's what the gear can give you. That's why we, in our media camp, we stressed storyboarding and concept drawings and treatments. No one touches a camera or a computer until they develop the story, So what happens in the mind, how you perceive the art, is how you prepare yourself to get a story. And once you got that all straightened out, go get the gear, any gear, big giant camera, phone. If you know what you're doing, you can use any gear, Macs, PCs, Premiere, Final Cut. Yeah, so true.
It's all the same, just like riding a bike.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Let me ask you this now. Speak to parents now and young people
Sure.
about some of the keys to getting through college and getting into a career?
I want to start this off with my own personal testimony. Let's just say that it's definitely a testimony. You know, one of the things that I had to learn at a very young age was, you know, with all the talent that you may think that you have, you're not entitled to anyone give you an opportunity to showcase that talent. You know, I graduated from Ball State in 2011. When I first got to Ball State, I had tremendous opportunities to be involved in, you know, in managerial roles or elected in roles as far as the National Association of Black Journalists, our student chapter there. But then as far as talent goes, I had the opportunity to be an anchor on our nightly news show that we produced there at Ball State. And long story short, you know, I got these opportunities in college, and I assumed that when I graduated, there was a reporting job that was waiting for me. I assumed that because I had a good resume tape and because I was a little bit further advanced than some of the people that I was graduating with, that I was going to get a job in TV news. Well, May 2011 came around. My resume started going out to dozens and dozens and dozens of organizations and companies and newsrooms and news managers, and I did not get not one response back. I mean, I'm watching, you know, people that I taught how to edit or how to shoot, and I'm watching them get, you know, picked up in, you know, Quincy, Illinois, or somewhere in Wisconsin, or somewhere in Ohio, Dayton, Ohio, or, you know, Youngstown, Ohio, places like that. And I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, I'm like, okay, I know the skills are there, but why is it that why am I not getting these jobs? Why am I not getting a job? So I applied to over 125 different companies when I graduated from college. And like I said, I got 0 replies back as far as that goes. And as you know, I began, you know, just working at different places when I got back home. But the main thing that I had to learn in that opportunity was, you know, you have to humble yourself. You have to humble yourself. Nothing is given to you in that regard. Nothing is going to be provided for you just because you think you did everything right. You know, so what actually ended up happening was one time I was working a volunteer table for Ball State at the Indiana Black Expo. And I was actually leaving to go to my job. I was working at H.H. Gregg at the time. And I was getting on the elevator. And I'd done an internship at RTV6 the summer before, right? So I'm getting on this elevator at Circle Center Mall to go to the parking deck so I can go to work. And I run into the HR manager there at RTV6 on that elevator. And who's on the elevator with the HR director? The new general manager and president of the same company that I interned with when I was there at that station, right? So the HR manager remembers me, Jimmy Love. You know, he was like, "Hey, Brad, you know, how you doing? You know, have you found a job in news yet?" Of course, I had not. Well, I wanted to introduce you to, you know, this person here. Larry Blackerby at the time was the new general manager at RTV6. And from there, he was like, "I'll make sure I get you in contact with the right people, and we'll help you. You know, we'll help you. You know, get a job." And less than a month later, I was working at RTV6. And I say all that to say this. I know that's a long story, but, you know, God's timing is so perfect. And although I may have assumed that I was ready for news and I was ready to be on my own, he helped me surpass something that I may not have been mature enough for, which is leaving my mother, leaving my family, leaving my home to go work in a station 5 hours away at a lower rate. And he set me up with an opportunity to work in my hometown in a position that allowed me to grow and expand with people that I knew that could take care of me. And you know, those are the things that I had to learn that, you know, within that 2 years of graduating from college and getting that job. So, you know, I thank God every day again for his timing, because 2 seconds before, 2 seconds after, that door closes on that elevator and I don't see Jimmy Love and I'm still working in retail, maybe. You know what I mean? I don't know what the case would be. You know what I mean? But you know, I just thank God. I thank God for that, because, you know, the lesson had to be learned to be humble and to be accepting of his timing and to be patient. And I was not any of those things before I got that job. I'm still working on that, of course, but that's definitely one of my lessons.
You pass that test. God has a way of helping us go through all these tests. He promised he would help us, and his help comes in all kind of different ways. And I believe that even Jesus said, the Bible says about Jesus, he learned obedience by the things he suffered. Jesus learned. If he learned, we still got to learn.